Judy ODonnell. In 2010, she founded the Iowa City Fencing Center, located on Highland Avenue, and now serves there as president and coach. She keeps a busy schedule teaching classes and giving private lessons and coaching her students at tournaments both home and away. But she took some time out to talk with me about her life and career as a fencer and teacher, and even gave me my own private fencing lesson. That's all coming up on I See People. I'd actually like to ask you a little bit about your non-fencing side of your life first. You didn't grow up in Iowa, right?
No, I grew up in Croton-on-Hudson, New York.
And then you spent a fair amount of your life in Boston, is that right?
Yes. I lived in Boston for many years and taught there as well.
When you were a child, what kept you busy? You didn't fence as a child.
Music actually. Played the piano a lot.
Okay, are you still
a little bit. I mean, I taught piano for a number of years as well.
Oh, the teaching.
Yes.
So how did fencing come into your life?
It was something I always wanted to do for as long as I can remember. And when I was actually looking for a college, I wanted a college with a fencing team. So I ended up going to Wellesley College, never having fenced before, started in a PE class of fencing, loved it, absolutely loved it. In the summertime I went to a fencing camp, and the next fall, my sophomore year, I was on the fencing team.
So what are some of the highlights of your fencing career? You went international, right?
Yes, I did. I fenced World Cups. I actually spent a year in Germany living at a fencing training center there and training. Came back to the United States, trained in Boston at the Boston Fencing Club. They don't host them anymore, but back in the dark ages when I was competing, the U.S. Olympic Committee used to have a kind of a miniature Olympics every non-international Olympic year. And they would divide teams up into north, south, east, and west and compete. And I fenced for the U.S. in some events in the World University Games while I was a graduate student at Harvard, and enjoyed a lot of.
Did you say graduate student at Harvard?
Yes, I did my Master's of Education there.
So how about that? How did teaching and fencing come together?
It was sort of surprising. I had been training at the Boston Fencing Club, the Academy of Fencing, and the director of the academy took me out to lunch one day and said, you know, I need somebody to start a children's program here. We've never had one, and I want you to do it. So I thought about it and said, I'd love to. And I started with one little boy who wasn't quite 5 years old when I started with him. He ended up becoming the under-11 national champion a few years later. And the program just kind of took off. So. And
you teach all ages
all
here,
ages,
right?
Absolutely. Every age is different, and they have different challenges. But I just love my students. It's really fun to work with them.
Okay.
So.
Can you talk a little bit about your experiences with international fencers?
Yeah. I mean, tremendous amount of fun to meet people from other countries and talk as best we can together. A lot of French is the international language of fencing. So in a World Cup event, I went to Hungary. I fenced a woman from China. The director was from Italy, and we all kind of spoke fencing French to understand each other and what's going on. So there's always the ability to communicate a little bit that way.
What are some of the terms?
Well, you have things like the attack, the parry, the repost. There's a whole lot of different words. right, touch. I've been scored upon. Right, exactly. And that's another thing that's very nice about fencing, is that fencers are very honest with each other, and when you get hit, you let your partner know that you've been hit. So that's a fun kind of thing to have. You don't see it in many sports.
We'll come back to I See People in a moment when we'll talk about Judy's teaching methods and strategies. Stay tuned.
Discrimination is not only hurtful, it is against the law. If you feel you have been discriminated against here in Iowa City, please contact the Iowa City Human Rights Office at 356-5022 or visit us on our website at www.icgov.org/humanrights or email us at humanrights@iowa-city.org.
In InfoVision, Iowa City's free interactive television service, has a new look. Turn to Channel 5 and check out the new simple interface. Just follow the instructions and use the buttons on your phone to choose what you want to watch. InfoVision offers over 400 different local videos, including community events, government meetings, and much more. Don't want to start from the beginning of a program? You can use your phone to fast forward or rewind, just like a remote control. InfoVision can also play some of your favorite radio stations, including Iowa Public Radio, BBC News, and a variety of music genres. Check out InfoVision on Channel 5 today. Welcome back to I See People. Let's return to my conversation with Judy ODonnell, president and coach of the Iowa City Fencing Center, as we discuss her approach to teaching.
Primarily, for me, fencing has to be fun. That would be first and foremost. If it's not fun, nobody wants to do it. If it is fun, they'll keep training, they'll work harder and harder and become better and better. So that's the number one thing, it has to be fun.
How do you make it fun?
Depends on the age. With little ones, you play a lot of little fencing kinds of games. As they're older, they enjoy working hard and challenging themselves. So we challenge them to do things better and better, and they enjoy that as well.
Okay.
We give them a lot of support. I think that's really important. I'm not the yelling kind of coach. They know if they're messing up, then they'll try to fix that, and you don't need to pound that into them. They need more support and encouragement. I think part of teaching fencing is also teaching about life and how to handle things throughout their life. One of the things I do is teach mental training, and the children apply that, and the adults too apply that to all aspects of life. So I think that's a really important part too. Much of fencing carries out into other parts of life.
Do you find that your teaching methods and styles from when you were a piano teacher also applies to fencing? It's
a bit different, yes. It's similar in some respects, but of course we have a very different situation here. I mean, you don't worry too much about the safety of your students when you're teaching piano, but you do have to be very aware of that in fencing and make sure that especially children aren't doing things they shouldn't be doing. But in general, people are very well behaved here because they need to be.
So how young does it start?
5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay.
But most of the children that I have are starting more at 7, 8 years old, or 10, 12. That age range seems to be a much bigger group.
And you bring them
now
to competitions?
Yes, yes. We have competitions here, and we also go to competitions. We go to super youth circuits, regional youth circuits, and other local competitions in other areas, and we go to the national championships as well.
Okay. Now, what's the oldest person that you have?
The oldest student that I've had here so far was 80 years old. It's nice, fencing is a lifetime sport. It's a true lifetime sport. You can do it at any age. They even have world championships for the over 70 age category. So it's not something you have to give up because you finished high school and there's no more team. So it's a lot of fun. There's even wheelchair fencing. We don't have that here yet, but yeah, you can do it all of your life. People learn at different speeds, and there are plenty of people who start quite late and do very well in it.
Right.
So.
Okay, I think I'm ready to learn a little bit about the joy of fencing.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. So you ready to learn how to stand?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Let's first turn you around. You're right-handed, so we're going to move you this way.
And how did you know that I was right-handed?
I just did.
You just look at people and you can figure it out.
I've taught for a while. Okay, so the salute is something we do before we fence with anybody and also at the end when we're done fencing with somebody. And essentially it's quite simple. We do that from that ready position, that very first position, and actually we have to be a little bit farther away. Here like this, and you bring your weapon up to your face like this, and down. There you go, beautiful. That's a salute. And that's a tradition that goes back hundreds of years, I suppose, to show respect for your opponent. And when we're done fencing with somebody, we would salute again, and then we would shake our non-weaponed hand and say thank you to each other. And that's our, because you kind of have to thank somebody who's loaned you their body to hit over and over again, right?
That's a good way of thinking about that.
And so that's like the etiquette of fencing. That's pretty much all there is to the etiquette of fencing. But nice and simple like that. Yeah, so like this, right. And done. That's it. Beautiful. So that's the basics, the very basics of the attack and the defense.
Wow. Well, I'm exhausted. I've learned everything, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit more to learn. One of my first instructors told me it takes about 50 years to begin to learn defense. There's so many different things that you can do and learn, and combinations. So one of the great things about fencing is it's always a new challenge. Mm-hmm. You fence with a different person, they have a different style, so you have to use different tactics. It's a lot of fun because it's never the same thing twice. That's it, and then we shake hands and say thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Do your children fence?
My son does. He's at Princeton right now, and he fences for the Princeton team. My daughter is an avid horseback rider. So, yeah.
Okay, do you horseback ride?
No. I only clean things up.